that sounds completely unbelievable, but is entirely true.
Alright, so I have honestly a lot of weird ghost stories that's happened to me over time of my 37 years. So if you like this kind of stuff, I have plenty more. But let's start with this home. We moved here back in 2017. We moved here all the way from New Mexico. So we moved from New Mexico to Minnesota. And so it was already a big change and a big move. We moved into this home, and this home is an older house, really old, like built back in the early 1900s, old, okay? But we were all excited. But once we got here, it just felt weird. I always felt like I was in someone else's space, like I was invading on their personal space. It never felt like home. It just felt like I was visiting someone, and it always felt like that. But anyway, this all started because I noticed this weird thing that my girls were doing. Their room is upstairs. There's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, and the stairway to go up to their room is like through this little doorway in our living room. And the stairwell is very narrow, very steep. And so I noticed that they were, before going upstairs, they would look up and then they would like run up the stairs like as fast as they can, just like their little feet just all the way up the stairs. And so I started noticing that. So one day I was like, why do you guys do that? And so they're like, it just feels like someone's watching us when we're there. So we get spooked and we run up the stairs. And at first I'm like, no, it's just they're not used to having an upstairs. This is the first house we've ever had with an upstairs, so they're just probably freaking themselves out. But over time, I understood what they were saying. They started going to school, so it was just me at home with my little boy at the time. He was one and a half. And so it would just be me. So some days I'd be in the living room, and the doorway to the stairwell is in the living room. And so maybe I'm folding clothes or just cleaning up. But I started noticing that when it was just me home, that I was always drawn to the stairwell. Like I always wanted to look there. And I always felt like someone was like peeking, like staring at me, just kind of observing what I was doing. And it always just felt like someone was just looking at me from the stairwell. And so over time, like it would just feel weird. And I remember walking in that stairwell one day and just staring at the top of the stairs. And not that I saw anything, I didn't see it with my eyes, but in my head I can imagine, maybe it was just my imagination, what was in the stairwell. And so I saw in my head, not with my eyes, a very tall gentleman, older gentleman, like what a typical farmer would look like back in the day. That's what I pictured. Tall, overalls, glasses. Sometimes I would see him with flannel shirt. Sometimes I saw him in my head with like a jacket, like a heavy jacket. Always glasses, like really thick framed glasses. Shorter hair. And so I never saw that, but that's what I saw in my head, if that makes any sense. Well, fast forward, I don't know, months or days or weeks, I don't know, later, my girls were talking about it, and they started telling me what they saw. And I had never talked to anyone, not even my husband, I don't think at the time, what I saw or what, well, he probably thinks I'm cuckoo. But I never told anybody what, in my head, what the gentleman looked like. And so I'm talking to my girls, and they're like, yeah, he's very tall, he's this, he's that. And it was exactly to the T what I saw in my head. So that was the first time I was like, that's weird. So I think I told them a little bit about what I saw, and they're like, oh my God, that's weird. So it freaked all of us out. Anyway, fast forward a few days later, months, I don't know, everything just happened sporadically. I remember sitting in the living room, and I remember I was folding laundry, and my little boy was watching a cartoon. We had a puppy. We still have a puppy, but he was a puppy at the time. And we were just chilling in the living room. And I remember I was folding towels, and I hear really loud, like a knock. We have a closet in our living room. And to get into the closet, you have to walk into the living room, obviously, but no one was home. It was just me, my little boy, and the dog. And so my little boy's looking at the door and the dog's barking at the door. Of course, no one can be in this closet. Nobody. So I get up, I open the door. Of course, no one's in there, but it just freaked me out. I probably called my husband and was like, this is weird. And he probably was like, you're an idiot. But that was just one of the things. But like over time, I would hear knocks. I would hear like doors creaking, people talking every once in a while. It didn't happen often, but I would hear conversations. But I mean, this is an older house. Maybe it was the neighbor outside. I don't know. But just random stuff would happen throughout the time. My daughters were still uncomfortable going up and down the stairs. They feel weird in the bathroom upstairs, which the bathroom still to this day is weird. It's just a weird feeling. But the kicker is one night, and ever since this happened, it seems like things aren't as intense. Stuff still does happen every once in a while, but it doesn't feel as heavy in here, or it doesn't feel like I'm in someone else's space anymore. That's happened over time, but it really stopped. A lot of the stuff stopped after what I'm about to tell you happened. So at the time, my little boy was still 1, maybe 2. He was still small. And I remember it was the middle of the night. I had got up and I went to the restroom, which is just right down here. This is my room. This is my room's door. I got up to use the restroom. I went back to my bed. I laid down, and when I go to sleep, like I pull the blankets up and I kind of like hug them. So I did that. I got on the blankets. I pulled everything up and I laid down. And as soon as I laid down, I felt at the end of my bed like my son was trying to get up. Like he got up in the middle of the night, was trying to get on the bed. And you know, sometimes when they're small, they can't reach. And so they're like pulling, and do you know what I'm saying? Well, I felt that. So I was going to get up to help him up onto the bed. But when I tried to get up was the problem. I could not move a muscle. Now, I was wide awake. I had not gone back to sleep yet. People, like, when I tell the story, they're like, you were probably dreaming. I was not dreaming. I was wide awake. So I tried to get up to help my baby up onto the bed, but I couldn't move a muscle. So I still feel like there's 2 hands by my feet trying to get up on the bed. And then I feel that they finally got on the bed, and I just feel like boom, 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 like crawling over my body. And I just feel like hand, knee, like if you're crawling, boom, boom. And I feel it coming all the way up my body, all the way up. And as they're moving up my body, my blankets are just like sucked onto, it feels like my blankets are just being sucked onto my body, and I feel like a mummy. I cannot move. Well, once they get here, I feel these boom, boom, like 2 hands, heavy hands, like right here. And I instantly feel like this ball of energy. The only way I can explain it is like a million bees are just flying around. Like I heard it, and I felt the electricity just swirling around my head. Okay, just up, like it felt like there was like a glass ball over my head, and all these energy balls are just like boom, 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 and I hear it. I feel it, just like, it's hard to explain, but this like ball, imagine like this ball of bees just like all over the place. Okay, and as this is happening, I'm trying to turn my face to get my husband's attention, because he's literally like inches away from me, but of course he's asleep. So this is going on for about 30 seconds. Couldn't move, couldn't do nothing. The only thing I could do was close my eyes, and I started to pray. And as soon as I started to pray in my head, this ball of energy just like flies up off me. And so of course I sit up, and I see this ball of energy fly, hit this door right here. So it hits the door. It hits it so hard, the door was open. Okay, the door was open just like it is right now. But it hits the wall. My door hits the wall and bounces and closes. So it hits the door hits the wall so hard it bounces and shuts. So I just see this like golden, sparkly, weird ball of light hit my door. And so I wake my husband up, and I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, you're crazy, because he's half asleep. But ever since then, stuff has calmed down. Do with that what you will. I don't know. What's your ghost story? You got any? That's just one of mine. You want